tree does not bend for every passing breeze. In the same way, your spirit must learn to stay rooted. If you make yourself an option, the world will treat you like one. But when you recognize your own value, the world begins to shift in your presence. There is a saying, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for everything. And so it is with your value. If you do not take the time to understand your inner worth, the world will assign you one. And it will be based not on your truth, but on your silence. Too many people live like leaves in the wind, drifting, reacting, waiting to be chosen. Rooted, steady, and born with value, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. In Shaolin philosophy, the first form of mastery is self-awareness. Not skill, not speed, not strength, but the awareness of who you are without the noise. Without disguise, if you do not go inward to meet yourself, you will keep looking outward to be seen. And that search never ends. You will try to earn love through sacrifice. You will try to gain respect by pleasing. You will chase validation like a shadow. Always close but never fully in your grasp. The moment you seek your value outside of yourself, you have already forgotten your true power. The question is not whether you are worthy. The question is whether you see it. A stone does not lose its value just because someone walks past it. Your worth is not up for debate. It is not something others can increase or decrease with their attention or absence. But your perception of it can be shaped by how you treat yourself, by what you tolerate, and by what you accept in silence. There is a kind of quiet erosion that happens in people's lives. Not all at once, but in small moments where they say yes when they mean no. Where they laugh to fit in. Where they shrink a little more just to be liked. These are the moments where value is not lost but given away. You must ask yourself, do I treat myself as a priority or as an option? The answer will show in your choices. It will reflect in your posture, in your habits, in the people you allow to stay. A person who knows their value no longer begs for attention. They no longer fear being alone. They no longer tolerate half-hearted effort or conditional love. They walk with presence. Not arrogance, not noise. Just a deep inner knowing. I am enough, with or without your approval. Shaolin teaches us not just how to fight, but how to choose our battles. And the most important battle is the one that happens within, between the voice that tells you to settle and the voice that urges you to rise. Between the urge to be chosen and the discipline to choose yourself. To stand still even when others move away. And to live in such a way that your presence feels like a boundary. There is power in stillness, and there is value in silence, but only when that silence comes from peace, not from fear. Knowing your worth does not mean shouting it from rooftops. It means never lowering it behind closed doors. It means recognizing when someone's energy does not align with yours and stepping back without guilt. It means understanding that not everyone can see your value and that this is not your failure. It is their limitation. You were not sent here to be understood by everyone. You were sent here to understand yourself. And once that knowing begins to grow within you, everything begins to change. You stop waiting for permission to rest, to speak, to dream. You stop negotiating with people who only show up when it's convenient. You stop over-explaining your boundaries. Instead, you begin to set your life by intention, not reaction. You begin to choose silence over noise, peace over chaos, alignment over approval. You no longer fear letting go of what is unworthy, because you are no longer afraid of standing alone. And that is where your transformation begins. Where you no longer ask the world, am I enough? And begin to tell yourself, I am. From this place of knowing, the next step unfolds naturally. To know your worth is only the beginning. The next challenge is to protect it, not with force, not with pride, but with standards that do not waver when tested. In the teachings of the Shaolin Temple, the mountain is a sacred metaphor, not because it is loud, not because it forces its presence upon the world, but because it remains regardless of storms, seasons, or the passing of time. It is steady. It does not bend to the wind. It does not move to accommodate those who do not respect its form. Your standards, too, must become like the mountain. Silent. To set a standard is not to reject others. It is to honor yourself. It is to carve the shape of your life with intention, rather than allow the world to chisel you into something that no longer resembles who you truly are. When you do not define your own standards, you unconsciously accept the default settings of others. Their urgency becomes your pressure, their disrespect becomes your silence, and their presence becomes your burden. This is not the path of self-mastery. This is the path of self-abandonment. And the one who abandons himself to be accepted by others will find that he no longer belongs even to his own spirit. Setting standards begins with clarity, not about what you want from others, but about what you will no longer accept. When a Shaolin warrior trains, he does not begin by adding layers of complexity. He begins by eliminating distractions. Every strike, every movement, every breath, it is all about refinement. In the same way, your life must be purified by principle. You must know what brings you peace. You must recognize what robs you of your presence. And then you must create invisible boundaries that hold sacred what matters. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They do not keep everyone out, they let the right people in. When you walk through life without standards, you will notice that your energy is scattered. You will feel overextended, underappreciated, and constantly drained. Why? Because you have become accessible to everything, including what is unworthy of your presence. The world responds not to your wishes, but to your behavior. If your actions do not reflect your standards, your words become empty. If you continue to allow what dishonors you, it is no longer just about others. It becomes a form of self-betrayal. People often confuse kindness with availability, but in Shaolin discipline, there is no confusion. Stillness is not passivity, restraint is not weakness, and peace is not permission. Just as a sword is forced through fire and not shaped by soft hands, so must your inner character be formed through decisions that are not always easy, but always necessary. You will be tested. Your silence will be mistaken for agreement. Your boundaries will be questioned. And your refusal to bend may make others uncomfortable. Let them be uncomfortable. That is their process, not your responsibility. The more aligned you become with your truth, the more your life will begin to filter itself. Certain people will fall away. Certain patterns will no longer feel tolerable. Certain environments will feel too loud for your newly found peace. Do not grieve this. This is clarity in motion. This is what happens when you stop watering what refuses to grow. The moment you elevate your standards is the same moment you begin attracting what matches your energy, not what drains it. There is great strength in being kind, but there is greater strength in being clear. And clarity often comes in the form of quiet departures, unapologetic decisions, and non-negotiable values. You do not need to raise your voice to be powerful. You only need to raise your standards. Let others adjust or remove themselves. That is their journey. Your task is to remain rooted in your integrity. For a tree that sways to every wind soon loses its shape, but one that is rooted in the earth, it becomes a landmark. And so do not be afraid to disappoint those who benefit from your lack of boundaries. Do not be afraid to lose people who never respected your lines. In the Shaolin way, the goal is not to be liked by many, but to be aligned with the few who honor your peace. Remember, you are not here to be tolerated, You are here to be respected. But that begins with how deeply you respect yourself. And that self-respect does not rise from words. It rises from that quiet, steady act of saying no, of walking away, of choosing your inner world over external noise. Once you have planted your standards into the soil of your life, you begin to live with intention. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer chase, you attract. And most importantly, you no longer compromise where your spirit is not seen. From this ground of clarity and conviction, the next step emerges. Once you protect your space with boundaries, you must now learn the art of guarding your energy from subtle harm, especially in moments that call for silence instead of struggle. There is a subtle violence that occurs when you constantly say yes to what does not serve your soul. It's not loud like anger, it's quiet like erosion, gradual, silent and invisible, yet over time it wears down the core of who you are. One decision at a time, one ignored insult at a time, one ignored intuition at a time. In the Shaolin way, we are taught that energy is sacred. It is our currency. Every action, every thought, every interaction either adds to your vitality or steals from it. So when you allow what dims your spirit, you are not just being polite. You are making a spiritual transaction that costs you more than you realize. To say no is not always about confrontation. It is often about clarity. The clarity to recognize when a situation is misaligned. The clarity to understand that walking away is not weakness. It is wisdom. Just like a warrior does not engage in every battle, you must not involve yourself in every relationship, every conversation, or every opportunity that seeks your time. Your presence is a gift, but not everyone deserves. Your peace is a temple, but not everyone knows how to enter quiet. In the West, saying no is often viewed as selfish. In the East, it is an act of preservation. Not out of ego, but out of understanding. An understanding that not everything is meant for you. And, more importantly, you are not meant for everything. The leaf does not resent the wind for passing. It simply lets go when it's time. So must you learn to let go of what no longer serves your journey. Without guilt, without anger, and without the need to explain yourself to those who never understood you to begin with. Sometimes the most dangerous form of disrespect is not shouted, it is subtle. It comes in the form of people who only show up when they need something, in the form of words laced with judgment disguised as jokes, in the form of constant interruptions to your peace masked as obligations. You must train your awareness to notice these small fractures before they become wide cracks in your foundation. Because once your spirit is drained, you begin to move through life in survival mode. Existing true strength is not in enduring everything, it is in choosing what is worthy of your endurance. Just as a martial artist does not waste energy on unnecessary movements, you must not waste emotional energy on what weakens your center. There is a practice in stillness, a discipline in restraint. You do not have to argue, you do not have to justify, you do not have to match anyone's chaos. Simply say no and move in silence. Let your absence speak where your presence was once taken for granted. To master the art of saying no is to reclaim your time, your energy, your self-worth. It is to recognize that peace is not found, it is protected, and it is protected by what you no longer engage with. A peaceful mind is not accidental, it is the result of difficult choices made consistently. Of moments where you felt the pull to please, but instead chose to preserve. And know this, not everyone will understand your refusal. Some will call it distance, others will label it pride. Let them. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be true to your path. In the Shaolin life, it is not the noise of the world that defines a man, but the silence he learns to maintain within. When you begin saying no to what is beneath your truth, you make space for what elevates it. When you release what is draining, you create room for what is nourishing. You are not meant to carry every weight. Not every story requires your listening. Not every apology deserves your forgiveness. And not every opportunity is aligned with your destiny. But unless you say no to what is misaligned, you will never create the space needed for the right energies to enter. This is not just about boundaries, it is about energetic precision. About knowing that everything you give your attention to becomes a part of your life. And so, you must choose with care. When the warrior bows, he does not bow to others, he bows to the discipline of his own mind. In the same way, when you say no, you are bowing to your peace. You are honoring your growth. You are choosing stillness over struggle, alignment over appearance, presence over performance. This is the path of the self-master. Not to react, but to respond. Not to fight every battle, but to respond. And it is from this place of protection that something deeper arises. A steady inner strength, no longer dependent on circumstance. A quiet confidence that is not performed, but lived. Because the next step in your journey is not just about refusing what dims you. It is about consciously choosing what fuels your light. Again and again, there is a great misunderstanding in this world. A belief that confidence is something we are born with or something we stumble upon by accident. That it arrives suddenly, like a gift, when the time is right. But this is not so. In the Shaolin path, confidence is not a trait. It is not loud. It does not demand attention. It begins in the small, invisible moments, when no one is watching and yet you choose to keep going. It is found in the stillness of early mornings, in the discipline of returning to your breath, in the decision to face what is uncomfortable rather than escape it. Confidence, like any form of mastery, is a practice. And practice begins with presence. You cannot embody what you are disconnected from. So many people are waiting to feel ready, to start, to speak, to live. But readiness is not a doorway you wait for. It is a threshold you cross, with trembling hands if necessary, with uncertainty in your chest if needed. Confidence does not always feel good. Sometimes it feels like fear dressed in discipline. But the difference is this: confidence is fear walked through. It is fear met with action. It is not the absence of doubt. It is the refusal to let doubt lead. In Shaolin teaching, the student trains not because he is already strong, but to become strong. He does not wait to feel perfect before showing up. He shows up to refine himself. Confidence works the same way. If you only act when you feel certain, you are not free. You are controlled by your emotions. It is rooted in choice. Every time you rise after falling, you are choosing it. Every time you speak your truth, even with a shaking voice, you are practicing it. Every time you remain calm when chaos calls your name, you are affirming it. Not with words, but with behavior. The external world may never applaud your small decisions, but the internal world will. Your nervous system will notice, your breath will deepen, your gaze will steady. There is a kind of quiet transformation that begins when you stop searching for proof and start becoming the proof. When you stop asking, "Am I capable?" and begin living the answer through your actions. Confidence is built one repetition at a time, not through the praise of others, but through the integrity of showing up consistently, compassionately, and without needing to prove anything. You must also understand this: confidence is not dominance. It is not sharpness or ego. It is the calm awareness of who you are. It is the ability to walk into any room and not shrink, not because you feel superior, but because you are no longer trying to be smaller. The Shaolin monk does not puff his chest to appear larger. He walks with relaxed shoulders, eyes forward, steps deliberate. Why? Because he knows who he is. He has trained his inner world to be unmoved by surface noise. Confidence is not performance, it is presence. And it is fragile in the beginning. You may question yourself, others may challenge you, old patterns may try to pull you back. But every time you choose to return to your center, your breath, your clarity, your truth, you are reinforcing the path, not through grand declarations, but through small choices, waking early, speaking kindly to yourself, honoring your limits, and refusing to settle. These are the bricks that build unshakable self-trust, and self-trust is the root of confidence. When you trust yourself to face what comes, you no longer need the world to validate your readiness. Even failure becomes a teacher. Even rejection becomes redirection. You begin to see setbacks not as verdicts, but as mirrors, reflecting areas that ask for growth, not shame. And so the fear of imperfection fades. You stop waiting to be flawless and instead begin showing up as you are. This is confidence, not arrogance, not entitlement, but a grounded sense of belonging in your own life. You no longer seek permission to exist. You simply take up your space, breathe deeply, and walk forward. But remember, confidence is not a destination. You do not arrive at it. You cultivate it. One honest conversation at a time, one difficult decision at a time, one moment of stillness in the face of doubt. You are not required to feel powerful in every moment. You are only required to act with intention. This is the essence of the way, to do what must be done, even when the mind resists, to keep moving, even when the path is unclear, to keep becoming, even when you feel unseen. And from this place of becoming, something subtle begins to shift. You no longer chase energy, you attract it. You no longer chase love, you embody it. You no longer search for your worth, you live it. Because when confidence becomes your ritual, what you attract begins to change. What stays, what leaves, what shows up next, all begins to align with the vibration you choose to carry. And that in itself leads us to the final stage. Not about proving, not about resisting, but about receiving what is already meant for you. There is a quiet truth that most people overlook. Life does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you silently align with. It listens not to your wishes, but to your frequency. What you attract is never based on your hopes alone, but on what you consistently embody. Your true presence, in the way that the moon draws the tide not through effort, but through its nature. You too draw into your life experiences, people and circumstances that mirror who you are being at your core. It is easy to say, I deserve peace while living in chaos. It is easy to say, I want respect while accepting disrespect. But the universe is precise. It does not respond to your language. It responds to your integrity. If there is a gap between what you desire and how you live, the signal becomes confused. The answer lies not outside, but inward. What in you continues to resonate with what you say you no longer want? In the teachings of Shaolin, we do not seek to force life into compliance. We train to become so aligned with truth, so refined in energy, that life begins to reflect that harmony back to us. The Shaolin monk does not chant for strength, he trains for it. In the same way, you do not need to beg for the right relationships, the right opportunities, or the right peace. You need only to live in accordance with your highest values and let the current of life adjust itself. Embodiment is the secret. Embodiment speaks without sound, and yet the whole world hears it. If you want love that is deep, become deeply loving. First with yourself. Speak to your own spirit with compassion. Sit with your emotions without rushing to escape them. Protect your peace as though it is sacred ground. If you want abundance, act not out of desperation, but from a place of trust. Give without fear. rest without guilt, speak with intention, and act with clarity. This is how you shift your magnetic field. Not through wishing, but through becoming. You become what you are seeking, and then what you seek begins to seek you. The path is not about forcing outcomes, but about becoming the kind of person for whom those outcomes are natural. And this shift does not require perfection. It requires sincerity. The energy of someone who shows up every day with awareness is far more powerful than the energy of someone who waits for the perfect moment to begin. Every breath you take is a chance to come back into alignment. Every morning is a ceremony. Every step is an act of devotion to the life you are shaping. In Shaolin tradition, there is reverence in repetition. Doing the small things with great awareness. Sweeping the temple floor is no different than mastering a form. Both are opportunities to reflect your inner world. In your own life, the way you eat, the way you listen, the way you speak when no one is watching. These are the silent architects of your future. They become the signals you send out into the world, and life, ever precise, responds in kind. And so, pause and reflect. What is the energy you walk with? Is it gratitude or lack? Clarity or confusion? Strength or avoidance? The truth is, you are always attracting, but not always what you want. You attract what you embody when you think no one is looking. You attract according to the quality of your standards, the consistency of your actions, and the depth of your self-trust. This is why inner work is not a trend, it is a lifelong art, an unfolding, a remembering. It is a return to your essence. Do not wait for life to offer you something better. Offer yourself something better through your choices, and life will begin to mirror it. Let your energy be a silent invitation to those who see you clearly, not an advertisement for those who misunderstand your worth. The one who embodies peace will never need to chase it. The one who walks in truth will never beg to be seen. And the one who honors their path will never have to fear losing what is not aligned with it. In the end, you realize this. The world is not withholding anything from you. It is only waiting for you to become the version of yourself that can fully receive it, not through effort, not through proving, but through presence, through stillness, through unwavering self-respect, because when you embody what you are asking for, you no longer plead for it. You prepare to receive it with grace. And so, dear listener, remember this. Your life is not meant to be lived at the mercy of others' recognition. You were not created to beg for love, to tolerate half-respect, or to be placed on a shelf like an option waiting to be picked. You are not here to chase validation. You are here to stand in quiet truth, to walk with deliberate steps, to choose your energy with care. You are not an option. You are a priority. And the moment you begin to live as such, the world around you begins to shift. Slowly, quietly, powerfully. The journey is not about force, it is about alignment. You define your value not by shouting it, but by embodying it. You set your standards not to exclude others, but to remain faithful to your own peace. You say no not out of rejection, but as an act of self-preservation. You build confidence through mindful action, and in doing so, you attract not what is fleeting, but what is real. These are not just ideas, they are practices, daily ritual of self-respect, of breath, of stillness, of remembering who you are without needing to prove it. As the Buddha once said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Let that be your compass. Let that be your grounding. And as you leave this space today, I offer you this gentle challenge.